All right, welcome to Superstitions and Traditions. I'm Kristen,
I'm Trish.
I'm Clarissa.
and we are live in the French Quarter at New Orleans.
This is our first time live, so
It is our very first time live.
I
How
know.
fun.
A little nervous, but excited about the French Quarters. Its atmosphere is just amazing
It
and
is.
wonderful, and I love it. The history, deep and rich.
It is the noise, the sounds,
The smells.
everything, the smell, the
yeah.
food.
Oh,
The
food's been
food
amazing.
smells, yes. Here, let's scoot this back a little bit, make sure we are all in there.
Oh, you really can't see.
Ooh.
It's a great view.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are on the north end? Right on. We're not smack in the middle of the French
Not
Quarter.
the French Quarters, yes.
But we are in the French Quarter, kind of. I think we're on the north side of it.
Or I think we are too. I think it's. I'd have to look at a map, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with you on that.
Yeah. So we took off Sunday, left our little Oklahoma small town, did some crystal mining in Arkansas.
Uh-huh.
Did Battlefield and Courthouse and
Coca-Cola Museum.
Coca-Cola Museum in
Uh-huh.
Vicksburg.
I love Vicksburg.
Got here to New Orleans already exhausted, 2
Uh-huh.
days in.
Stayed in an incredible place in Vicksburg.
Yeah, an old house Clarissa found on Airbnb.
It was awesome.
That was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So, and today we did museums. And the one we were just fascinated with was Storyville. So it's called the legalized red light district, but it wasn't technically a legalized district for prostitution because prostitution was federally outlawed.
Right.
So Sidney Story, alderman here in New Orleans, the city was being overtaken pretty much by sex work because of the port and the sailors and
how you mix it. Yeah,
you just got everything all
together,
mixed and
right?
mingled. And
the casket girls they brought over, which that's a whole different thing.
That's a whole. We're going to go into
Yeah.
that too. We're going to that museum tomorrow.
Okay. Yes.
But the Storyville was, I think, the fourth kind of red light district in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And Alderman Sidney Story, which is how it got its name, made a municipal ordinance, authored a municipal ordinance that was voted on and passed. And it didn't legalize prostitution in Storyville, but it explicitly said prostitution was illegal in every part of the city except for Storyville, which was marked by certain streets. Iberville Street. I don't remember them all, but anyway.
Iberville, Basin, St. Louis, and North Robertson.
Yes, Iberville, Basin, St. Louis, North Robertson. So in that area, it wasn't necessarily legalized sex work, but it wasn't explicitly illegal.
Right.
And
So
during that time, New Orleans is just like thriving.
it is thriving. It is a port city.
Port city. More gambling here than what you can. I mean, the
Mhm.
vices in New Orleans at that time were just.
They had a good time.
They did have a good time. People loved to travel here. And did Story go to
He
Europe?
went to Amsterdam and other places in Europe. But he got most of his ideas from Amsterdam because they had legalized prostitution there.
Right.
So he kind of took those ideas and brought it back to New Orleans to kind of come up with a way to combat sex work, but not like wipe it out completely, because he knows that's not possible.
Right. It's going to be there,
So-
so you might as well find it.
Yeah. And that was kind of his idea. It's going to happen, so we might as well say, let's keep the rest of the city clean and just do that here. So that law went into effect in 1897. it was just interesting. So red lights, I found out today from the
Uh-huh.
museum. It was like you and I have talked about color theory a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So red is associated with desire and passion and things like that. So it was a common thing all the way back to ancient Greece and ancient Rome to denote sex work with the red light. Railroad workers are the ones who started it here in the US. They would, when they would stop their train, they carried a red lantern and would hang it outside of the house of prostitution so that if they were needed, they knew where to find them because they would look for the train's red light.
That's how all of that.
Yes.
I think I may have missed that part, and I'm kind of sad.
I didn't get that off of
Okay,
the
out of the music.
no, that was something I knew from a while back. I didn't know about the railroad workers, but
The one thing I did think was cool about the red light was it makes it to where like bruises and stuff get covered up easier.
Yes.
So women would use that to kind of, make themselves look, I guess, better. in a
Uh-huh.
sense.
Because that.
yeah, and there it would hide scars and bruises and
Yeah.
make you look younger and kind of maybe wish we had one right here, but that's all right.
Can we change this? You're going to need to work on this one.
I know it. It's all right. We look old and tired, but we had a good day. We have
did have a
earned
good
our
day.
old and tired.
And we also have, I don't know how many kids with us, but they didn't
Oh yeah.
go to the museum with us. The
No,
older
they
ones,
were not
but-
allowed.
But the younger ones were. But it was. I mean, the history.
The history of it was amazing.
Because you know, the pictures of the women. I can't remember the name of the photographer, but there were some of the women that he had taken pictures of that the plates were found, and then they
took those with pride.
Yes,
to advertise
to
themselves.
advertise. And the blue book.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we should have brought a copy of the blue book, but
so the blue book was a little like directory phone book for the prostitutes. It gave a little bio of them and then which brothel to find them in. Like they were proud of their work.
Oh, yes. But when you think about it too, though, this is one of the very first times that women could advertise. I mean, maybe we're not advertising, but I mean, this was a business, and they were advertising.
Yeah, they did.
I also think it's wild that they were like, these books were in restaurants.
Uh-huh. You could buy what for a nickel? I think they said at restaurants and pawn shops
and the history of the word crib, because you hear the word crib a lot in references in music and different cultures, and you're like, the
your
origin
crib,
of
your
that,
house.
your crib, take you to your house, and that was like those single one room.
Yeah, just
housing
little, almost little studio apartment kind of thing.
Just had a bed. And the women would be in the windows
right there on the street,
and people would walk by, and you can actually. The museum kind of had a movie that showed how that worked. People walking by and looking at the window,
in at you.
And the women that were there, and I mean, it's when you think about that time and that culture, that was, but so much the jazz.
Jazz was born. Everybody knows jazz was born in New Orleans. What is not said often is that jazz was born in Storyville. It originated in brothels, is where they started playing jazz. All of the brothels had hired musicians to play. I guess to cover up other sounds. I don't know, but I don't know why they needed musicians. But that's where jazz began. Louis Armstrong was born in Storyville to a 16-year-old mama. I'm new to live, and it's trying to say things to me. But
what is it saying to us?
I don't. It says Ray is joined. Hi, Ray.
Oh, hi, Ray. Well, and the brothels were. I mean, the houses of prostitution were anywhere from brothels all the way up to elegant mansions, and then even some of the parties for the other well-to-do people that they would have in the area that
Yeah, and it wasn't just sex work that happened in Storyville. There was also a lot of the drinking that happened. A lot of the bars were here,
A little bit of
gambling,
cocaine, drug use.
a little bit of cocaine, some
drug use.
absinthe, just good times
Just
were
some good
had.
times. It was just up the road there. I mean, it was fascinating to just walk in that.
Uh-huh.
To just, it kind of, you could feel it come alive and feel that presence. And
Yeah. So with that, poker and what was the other one? Craps?
Yeah, that's
Poker and craps
Yeah.
were originated in New Orleans in the Storyville
Yep.
district.
oh, that's right. I
So,
do remember seeing
Yeah, I
that.
learned that today at the museum. My most favorite part of the museum ever was the peep show machines
Oh yeah.
where you can look in and see Victorian porn.
Yep.
I had to send some to my friend because it was like motion pictures, the early motion pictures where it's just pictures move fast. It doesn't even look like a movie, but it was a woman wearing a house coat that she takes off with a nightgown underneath, not even a sexy negligee, a cotton nightgown underneath. She takes her house coat off, lays it on an ironing board, irons it, and puts it back on. And that was the naughty stuff in those peep shows.
Oh, well, I read something that said that it was kind of the end of the Victoria era.
Yeah, into the Victorian, into the Edwardian is
Where
when that started.
That prostitution kind of started
To
die because now women could.
At that point, so the Victorians, they were naughty, but they were secret naughty. Like there was propriety, and you had to maintain an air of elegance and demure,
You
kept it all hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why these little districts popped up, so they weren't just out there for everybody. You had to kind of get away from the higher society and working class and hide it. But during the Victorian era, you didn't date. Like a woman and a man didn't walk down the street together if they weren't married, even if they were courting or whatever. Courting was their word.
Courting is such a cool word.
It is a cool word. Dating. They
courting.
had a chaperone.
Talking. We talk now.
We do talk now. And you did not do that. A man and a woman did not stop on the street and chat with each other in Victorian times. So at the end of the Victorian and coming into the Edwardian era, that kind of fell off. Like you could talk to somebody and you could see somebody without needing a chaperone and without being looked down on as being a loose woman or whatever they wanted to call you, whatever their term was for naughty.
Yes.
For impropriety.
Debauchery.
I love the word debauchery.
Debauchery is such a good word.
It is. It is a good word. Apparently it was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
What I learned, you have a lot of fun debauching.
And Storyville became financially, I mean, it was extremely successful.
Yeah, a wealthy. Now the girls, they weren't living high, but they were able to support themselves. There was always somebody.
Yes, the madams.
Yeah, the madams or the. Sometimes it was men. There was always somebody running the show, and the working girls were paying them and answering to them and not taking a whole lot. There are things. Oh, he waved. Oh, hi.
Who can you see?
I can't really. That's why I have to stare at it. It's Ray. Ray waved at us.
Oh, hi, Ray again. And so then we have Black Storyville.
Then yes. So, and it was a separate area but close by. And Louis Armstrong was born in Storyville but raised in Black Storyville.
And then, so 1917, World War One comes along.
19
We've been in Storyville for about 20 years now. Uh-huh.
20 years, which it was actually, so we're about 1897. We are 150 years into New Orleans' existence.
Uh-huh.
And this is about the 4th designated red light district in New Orleans. They started with the Swamp, and then they had Smoky Row and several others before Storyville was legally established in a roundabout way, by establishing that you cannot prostitute outside of Storyville, but not necessarily saying it was legal in Storyville, but it is definitely illegal outside of Storyville.
Right.
So that was 1896, and it ran for 20 years. 1917, we had World War One. During World War One, after the U.S. had entered, there was a military base or munitions or something. Something was set up here in New Orleans.
It was a military base.
So,
and federal law, they passed that you could not have prostitution within 5 miles of a military base.
Yeah.
So,
and the greatest part about that was the military's discouraging
boobs. Wait, what was it? Boobs. That was my favorite, and I wanted to take a picture of it. The ads.
Oh man, they were.
Did you take pictures of the ads?
I may. Here, hold on.
Oh, was it boobs?
Let me see.
Booby traps.
Booby traps.
Booby traps. Booby traps. Gonorrhea and chlamydia.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say syphilis, because we're real at this period in time in history. Syphilis was a big deal, but we were focused on the gonorrhea and the chlamydia.
We didn't want to worry about syphilis.
But the military had these flyers.
Dang it, I didn't.
That they printed up and shared with the servicemen, and all of it was basically telling them, don't buy a prostitute, you could catch something.
I wish I could remember the
advertising for it cracked me up.
Oh,
but that was it. It said booby trap, and it had a picture of a woman in something sexy, negligee, something. And it said booby trap, ... gonorrhea and chlamydia underneath it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right, booby trap. Yeah.
There were several of them, though. They were all just,
But the blue book, I mean, that just fascinates.
Absolutely.
I mean, I read something that called it like the book of sin, or the directory of sin. The directory of sin. I mean, they just advertised. I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
With pride.
With pride, yes.
With pride. Cute little bios of the girls, and said things like, the men who've met them have had a good time.
Full details.
Yes. Yes. And the Arlington, Mahogany Hall, some of the uptown. I mean, you just
walking those streets. It's been a good time.
Kind of wish you could just go back just to witness it for like.
You want to peek in those windows?
Just peek in those windows for
walk through Storyville, peek in those windows of the cribs.
I mean, they're just
right
there. Just right
I'll
there.
go with you.
Just a second.
I'll go with you. We'll go peek together.
Just watch all of it, all bit.
Oh yeah.
You know, that was just
it was a good time. Good time had by all.
And I mean, then we see the other side of it too. It's sad for the workers that were in that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was sad for them, yes, because but at the same time, like, they were financial, they had jobs. They weren't dependent on somebody else, which at this time in history, women didn't get that luxury.
That freedom. And the ones I was trying to remember, the ones that smoking the cigars and catcalling the men.
Yes, that was on
Oh.
Smoky Row.
Smoky Row. Yes.
Prior to Storyville, they would sit outside their homes on the stoop, smoke their cigars, drink their alcohol, catcall the men, rustling up some business.
Oh.
And Smoky Row. So Smoky Row was the third red light district. It was just prior to Storyville.
Okay.
The song House of the Rising Sun.
And I love that song. Oh, I love that song.
There are 3 possible buildings, and it all has like one of the madam's last name translated to Rising Sun.
One of them faced the rising
One
sun.
of them faced the rising sun, and I don't remember the other one, the reason it could be. But they have it narrowed down to 3 homes that
and that
could
song,
be the
right.
House of the Rising Sun.
Uh-huh.
So that was pretty cool too.
That was very cool. And then just all the musicians, Jelly Roll that came out of there. Not Jelly Roll now, but pianist Jelly Roll. Jelly
Roll,
Morton.
Baby Dodds,
Mhm.
Johnny Dodds, Louis Armstrong, which is
Of course,
said
Louis
that.
Armstrong.
So many, a lot of the men and women that created jazz and made it a thing
Mm-hmm.
came out of Storyville. Jelly Roll Morton.
And Jelly Roll Morton. And there are some oral histories that you can go online and find and listen to. But it's just, New Orleans is just an incredible
It
place.
is. It is. I tried to do a live last night while we were walking Bourbon Street. But
Because Bourbon Street. Can we say it was her birthday yesterday? Lauren?
yesterday was her birthday.
Woo! 28.
She's 28.
So the trumpet player.
We found a trumpet player at
Jackson Square.
Jackson Square. Yeah, we found a trumpet player at Jackson Square that played Happy Birthday for her and asked us where we were from. We told him Tulsa. He had played Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be part of a band, and life happened and he needed to get away from the band because of choices he was making while just traveling and not being stationary and having roots.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came home to New Orleans, but the last time he was in Tulsa, he saw and talked to Gillespie?
I think it was.
I think it was Gillespie.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, a jazz musician that
Uh-huh.
everybody is
Also
familiar
has
with.
I mean, not
We had a
rich
good
like
jazz,
New Orleans,
not
but
like
we
New
have a
Orleans,
rich
no, but we
history.
have a good jazz community and history.
Rich history and culture.
So, but it was fun.
Oh yeah.
It was
It was
fun.
a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So look into Storyville. There are some interesting characters that came out of there.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Some might have acted up a little bit, possibly
Maybe a
a
little naughty,
historical
a little
asshole
naughty.
or two. And then some amazing people like Louis Armstrong.
But
and
I just love the words that they used to describe the women.
the lewd and abandoned.
Yes, because you had that word.
I got the sign.
Uh-huh. Lewd and abandoned women.
Lewd and abandoned women.
Mm-hmm. That's all we can say about
Yeah.
that one.
I
words.
bought the sign prohibiting lewd and abandoned women. I'm going to hang it up in my house so that everybody knows
You are lewd.
lewd and abandoned women are not allowed in my home. You will be fined $10.
It's interesting that they were lewd and abandoned. So if you were just lewd, you were okay, or if you were
Just abandoned.
just abandoned, you're okay, but not lewd and abandoned together.
Well, and
Is
so
that-
I mean,
is that
okay,
technically
if
what
we
makes-
taken the whole history of prostitution in New Orleans, you mentioned the Casket Girls, which we'll talk about more tomorrow. We're going to the convent where they ended up, but they ended up being all scary women that ended up in a convent, but they were brought in
I
New
love
Orleans.
that.
No.
New Orleans is going. Here he comes.
There he is. They were brought, specifically, they were prostitutes in France that ended up in asylums. And the asylums were run by the Catholic Church. And so the nuns and the priests did little assessments of the women and picked a handful
To come.
that were marriage quality and shipped them off to Louisiana.
The nuns that don't marry picked those that were married. I mean,
Well, these were the asylum. They were working the
asylum.
asylum,
Okay,
taking
the asylum.
care of the young girls that
were
prostitutes that
trying to get them ready.
yeah. So they did their own little, I don't know, ink blot test or whatever they did to
Right.
assess. I'm not sure, but
And it did show one of their little.
So they called them the casket girls because they had a case, and it was maybe the size of a shoebox.
Mhm.
And so they were in this asylum. They were given this little case, cute little leather case the size of a shoebox, told put everything you own in that, put on a
Kristen,
prisoner
you cannot
ship.
even get all your makeup in that little thing.
Yeah.
I have lupus. There's a lot to hide.
No, I didn't know. I just know you have lots of different colors and
I
stuff.
do.
You have
I
lots
do.
of colors.
Hey, makeup's a good thing.
Makeup's
a
I'll tell
good
you, I have
thing.
lots of my own.
Uh-huh.
So
I love my makeup.
I know you love your makeup and all your little stuff. I love it. I don't know how to do it, so it fascinates me. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was a chemo deal for me, learning how to do makeup because I was too sick to get up and actually do something, so I laid in bed. That I would take my chemo on Friday, and I was stuck in bed until I would make it to work Monday morning, but I wasn't a functioning human being until Monday, usually late afternoon, early evening.
And I love that you love your makeup.
Oh, thank you. But I had no idea how to do makeup until chemo when I actually had time.
So did you
to
watch
learn.
videos?
Mhm. Yeah, just in between vomiting,
oh my gosh.
watched the videos and cried about my hair falling out. So
I love your makeup too.
I love
your makeup, too.
supporting these eyebrows that I got going on. So
but so they're trying to fit all of their easily. I mean, they're in asylums, so they can easily fit all of their belongings into these little shoebox size casquettes. Put on a prisoner ship for months to sail from France to Louisiana. They're under deck, below deck. So they're not getting sunlight.
They're down in the
not
bow of
getting,
the
they're not, there's not really enough. It's a prisoner ship. They aren't real worried about the health and well-being of the people on board.
right.
I'm not sure keep going.
Okay. So these girls.
This doesn't sound like a good plan.
It wasn't. So these girls, they are on a ship. They're not getting sunlight. They're not getting good nutrition. They were okay prior to the ship. Keep in mind they're coming from an asylum, so it's not the best health they've ever experienced. But by the time they make it to Louisiana and walk off that ship, they are vitamin D deprived. Their eyes are bloodshot. They've lost a lot of weight. They are scrawny little things, barely holding themselves up. And they scared the locals. Those men didn't want to marry those girls. They thought they were vampires. So they ended up living in a convent. But that is how they got the girls here to Louisiana.
Okay, so the casket. I thought they were named the Casket Girls because they thought they were vampires and lived in a casket.
No,
but
they were
because of their little
called
suitcase.
Yes, they were called the Casket Girls because the French word for that little suitcase was casquette.
Casket. Okay.
So
I would put my fishing stuff in it.
yeah, it would make a good tackle box. It was a good tackle box size.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's why they ended up calling them the Casket Girls because they're
Not because
hearing
they
what
thought they were vampires.
Yeah.
But
but they really did think they were vampires and wanted nothing to do with the girls. But that is how we got. Was it Andrew Jackson during? I believe it was during the Civil War. No, maybe it was Lafayette. Anyway, somebody during a war, maybe the French. Anyway, at some point, a general that everybody would know if I could remember who it was, wrote back to home and said, we need y'all to send us some women because my soldiers are chasing the Indian girls. They're running off in the woods. We're losing soldiers because they're trying to find themselves some girls and they're going after the Indian girls. So we need some girls that can just follow us around. And so that was
with
the
military.
So that was the first
Right.
load of girls. Then they traveled with the military, did the cooking and the cleaning, and
but they
then had a good time.
They
also
couldn't live there, right?
Right.
They could come in and
women weren't allowed to live there or work. Weren't allowed to live there or own businesses there, but they could come in, do some tidying up, maybe some laundry, service the servicemen, and go back to the swamp.
Make them a sandwich. No.
Yeah, that's right. Make them a sandwich, go back to the swamp.
Oh, good times.
Yes, and that was the very first red light district. It was called the Swamp, and they had little tents set up.
And then, then boom, boom, boom.
And then boom, boom, boom. And it just kind of moved. It moved with the population. So the more they come in on the Mississippi into New Orleans, the red light district would follow and come more in. They had the flatboat ships that could go into the river on the Mississippi, but they could not come out. They couldn't, the boats, those particular boats.
Because they were the wooden boats, and they had to dismantle them and then.
Yeah, so they couldn't sail against the current.
Right.
So they would sail in, dock, unload, and then they dismantle the boats and use the wood to build the houses and the buildings and stuff. Then they had the ironclads and just kind of moved more and more into
waterways have always been the life force of the nation.
Okay, yeah, and this was a great port.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It comes right in off the Gulf of Mexico and all of that.
Yeah, it was a great port. And then right down the road from where we are right now is where the Louisiana Purchase We stood in the same spot that the Louisiana Purchase took place yesterday.
Friends come in, and then I love that. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll buy it all.
Who's like, we want this river and this river,
everything in between,
and everything in between. And so we all know how that starts. It's Louisiana, and then and it's like a.
And you think, what if the Louisiana Purchase hadn't happened? What would the United States be like now?
So French occupation here, they went to war with the British, and rather than actually fighting the British for this land, France just sold it to Spain.
And then Spain said,
so like all of the architecture here, the balconies that you associate with New Orleans, that's all Spanish influence. France, I think, had it for maybe half a century. But most of the architectural influence here is Spanish.
That's awesome.
And then you have so many cultures that come together.
Oh, yeah.
It's just fascinates me. And I love the man that started the museum. He invented the paper coffee cup in 1990.
It's something in
80s,
the 90s.
90s.
Yeah.
And then made a fortune off of that, decided to sell it, moved back here, bought a house because he was born here. And then he actually started doing the research. So he did.
His name was Sadlier.
Sadlier, yes. He did all of the research to come up with the facts and put them in there.
And
and
made
that's
the museum.
Tremendous amount of research.
Absolutely.
And the museum, if you ever have the chance to come to New Orleans, Storyville Museum, it's an interactive, what do they call those?
The immersive.
Immersive museum. So it has the artifacts and the pictures and the stuff that you typically see in museums, but then it has like whole areas that you
Like you
walk
had a
into, and you
a
are
hologram.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
you are in the swamp
Yes.
staring at a tent with silhouettes of good times
Uh-huh.
happening.
It had like the brothel or the guys were in
Uh-huh.
front, and then
and it walked through all four, including Storyville was the fourth, red light districts. So started with the swamp and the little tents, and then moved to the boatman houses for the boats that came in and couldn't leave. And then the next Smoky Row, which is House of the Rising Sun era.
love the Smoky
I
Row.
do too. And then Storyville.
Uh-huh.
And all of it. Like, it was just neat.
It's
You
very
could sit
neat.
on a porch of a crib and
Just watch.
have people staring at you, sizing you up. And yeah, I think I'll go in that one. No,
And
sir, I
it
have a
kinda did.
headache.
I mean, it kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, it would show men walking up. as they were-
Staring in the window. I mean,
And
you're
kinda-
right there,
You're right there.
looking at the little room they had set up
And you're trying
to
decide
demonstrate the crib.
if-
And as you're standing there, there's a window with a projection, and it's men walking up and like literally sizing you up.
I have a mother with
Absolutely,
kids
yeah.
going.
And a
"Go, look."
mother with kids. Avert your eyes, children.
Yep.
Your eyes, children. I'm not that scary, but whatever.
And and sometimes there'd be more than one, like two women that would have because they could actually rent the apartments themselves and then kind of keep the
Just have a
or the
good time.
cribs.
Yeah.
And so two would take them, one during the day, one at night,
Yeah.
and kind of
Yeah. So that, because they couldn't actually own it.
right.
And it was kind of set up like a hotel, maybe
Mhm.
kind of thing, where you
Like a motel where you drive
Yeah.
up, only you don't drive up, it's on the
Mhm.
sidewalk, the doors come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, there would be like two girls would take one room, and one would work the day shift and one would work the night shift. Keep it open.
And I love that they inspected prior to.
Yes.
Oh,
made
gosh.
sure
And
that
they would clean with antiseptic
Uh-huh.
because
That blows my
I
mind.
know.
they didn't want anything either.
Nope.
It wasn't just American military worried
Nope.
about the syphilis.
Wipe that thing off, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Get your antiseptic out.
Get your antiseptic out. Do a
Mhm.
little inspection.
Mhm.
Oh, and the
Clean it
voodoo
off.
stuff to, make it to where they weren't pregnant.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
There was voodoo is a religion that is from Africa, primarily West Africa. It was brought over here on the transatlantic slave trade. And it was kind of conformed so that the people that were enslaved could hold on to their roots, but not risk terrifying the white folks and them, punishing them for practicing their faith.
Right.
They kind of added elements of Christianity into it, which is what hoodoo is.
Oh.
So voodoo is the actual religion. Hoodoo is a mix of voodoo and Christianity, and it originated here in the
I've
South.
never heard of that. That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh,
With voodoo, there is herbal things like that, but hoodoo is where we get the root workers and the root work, which is what, when you think of England and the witch trials, the cunning women that were burned, that was what they were. They were the herbalists that knew how to heal.
Is that where your essential oils?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Which, I mean, Native, European, Hoodoo, African, they all have their own
Beliefs,
mix and mingles, and a lot of them have like talismans and objects, and I don't want to say incantations, but basically like say this prayer,
this.
kind of like the Catholics, they have their things too, that are specific for their belief.
Different
But
rituals, I think.
an herb is an herb, and if it heals one, it heals all.
Yes.
Unless there's an allergy, and that's a whole different thing.
Okay, it's a cool little golf cart.
That was a cool little, and it was
With all the lights.
nice music, lots of
instead
lights.
of the party bus, it's the party golf.
I love a party
Yeah.
golf cart.
I love that everybody shares their music.
Uh-huh.
That way
Yeah.
you get a little variety going on.
So that's where they would use the hoodoo
I want to say
to
"Who do you
prevent
think you are?"
pregnancies and helped the girls learn that kind of birth control, pre-birth
I
control,
was gonna
birth
say,
control,
and it talked a little bit about abortion, but I can't remember.
And,
Was
yeah.
that with the
the same.
different herbs that would trigger?
I
Yeah,
also
which
saw-
abortionists have been around forever too. So, and they were everywhere, and it was always an herbal concoction, a tisane you drink, or so. Yeah, I mean it's even mentioned in Hebrews. So, all right. Anything else we want to share? Ray says happy birthday.
Oh, where is Ray?
Thanks.
You know I'm not good at this. Can I see?
So he's right up there in the corner.
Oh, I can't see that. Well, Ray, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I encourage you to come to New Orleans. It is a good time.
It is a good time.
Absolutely.
Thank you
And
for
we're
being
boring
with us on
old
our
women
first
and
live.
still having a good time.
With
So,
our kids
Hey,
here.
speak for yourself.
so if you are okay, we're boring old mothers. She has had a good time,
Yeah.
but now she is older and she's got to keep us in line. So she's
And
had to babysit. She's had to
It's been
babysit
fun.
us.
It's been a great time. We had a little cigar,
We had a cigar, had
an old fashioned.
an old
Yeah.
fashioned, some
Mhm.
margaritas. We walked down Bourbon Street in the middle of the night. We've had a good time.
We've had a good time. Been safe though.
Been
Yes.
very safe.
Very safe. Safety first always.
It's a good plan.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Come back and see us soon. Oh,
Okay, I have a question.
okay.
So if we're live, does
Uh-huh.
that mean the only time you can watch us is when we're live?
No. So after we clear out, we'll save it and it'll pop up. So I have it live on both. I have it live right now on YouTube and on my Instagram. So Instagram will post it as a reel. It'll be available in like 20, 30 minutes. I've never in my life done live on YouTube. So I don't know what it's
It
going
could
to
be
do,
gone.
but I don't think so. I think there is at least a tab you can go in and see the lives.
Okay.
I know on other people's channels, I've been able to go in and see lives after the fact. So you should be able to see this.
You know, I get a little cranky when they just want me to text the office about the fact that we need more towels. I'm not very good at this stuff.
Don't
It's
call.
like, why can't I
Don't
just
call the
you?
front desk.
No,
You
I have
text
to
them.
text.
And if you don't text them, they are going to text you in the afternoon to make sure you don't need
Uh-huh.
anything.
Yes. Yes.
But don't
And then-
talk to them.
No.
Don't try to
I want to
communicate
talk.
verbally.
I want to talk. I want to work.
That's
talk
not
about
how
it.
we do this. All right,
Okay.
guys. Thank you for joining. We're going to try to do one more tomorrow after we see the
Ghost tour.
ghost tour. We're going on a ghost tour tomorrow and to a jazz music club.
The jazz tomorrow evening.
Live jazz
excited.
tomorrow,
Uh-huh.
which is good. I love jazz.
Can we live jazz? We can't do that
I don't know.
because they may not let us.
They might not let us, but it is a free thing they do weekly, so maybe they don't care. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. I don't know how to say goodbye when we're live. I guess you
Oh.
just stop talking.
Yeah, we just
stop
stopped talking. I'm going to press a button and then
Okay.
we're going to disappear.
I'm going to stop talking.
So that one's done. We're still on Instagram.